Hola, I'm Claudia Romo Edelman.
And I'm Cynthia Kleinbaum-Milner.
And this is a podcast a la Latina.
The playbook to succeed being your authentic self.
Today, the incredible Betsabe Botaitis. She is the Chief Financial Officer of Edera, and these are the 3 key takeaways.
Number 1, corporate America is not a meritocracy. If you don't have the last name, if you don't have a fancy school degree, you have to be very strategic and you have to build your own network to get to the top.
Number 2, how Betsabe faced the wall from Latinos. How much the scarcity mentality among Latinos of elbowing each other meant a wall for her as opposed to a network of support, and how we should change that.
And number 3, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. She went through so much hardship. I'm really eager to have you listen to the journey of a woman who came from really humble beginnings and had every unexpected barrier and every unexpected problem thrown her way, and how she came up at the top stronger than ever. We are resilient, and she's a proof of what we can do.
All of that and more here at A La Latina.
Stick around. Before this episode starts, go to alalatina.com and sign up for our newsletter. We've put together a ton of career advice and worksheets that you can download to manage your career and get to the top in half the time
with half the bruises. A La Latina. Today, the incredible Betsabe Botaitis. She is the Chief Financial Officer of Edera.
Betsabe is an accomplished strategist, a fintech executive with over 15 years of experience, ranging from large financial institutions, fintech companies, to blockchain and cryptocurrency companies.
Betsabe has held several senior roles at renowned and leading-edge companies, including Uplift, which is a buy now, pay later in travel, also Quesky, Mexico's largest BMLP, Lending Club, and Citigroup at Citi Communication Development and Financial Inclusion.
Betsabe serves as the CFO and treasurer of Hedera, the #1 enterprise blockchain governed by leading organizations around the world. And I can tell you, because I used to be in this industry, that she is probably the most senior and most knowledgeable Latina in the blockchain space. So, did I exaggerate?
No.
I don't think so.
Exactly. Well, even more welcome. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
We are literally really excited to have you. We had a session in Davos together talking about tokenization, and all of a sudden I got to hear your story. I know you for a number of years, but really we just don't know each other's histories as well. And I was blown away. So share with us your background, what made you be who you are and what you do today.
I'm an immigrant, born and raised in Guadalajara, Jalisco. I immigrated to the United States around 24. But a lot of who makes me today is really the journey. It's truly a journey. It is the baseline of the values that my family gave me. It is the amazing people that I met along the way. We often are trying to look at specific mentors or specific people. I say that in my career, in my life, I have angels and I have thousands of mentors. Thousands of mentors, from a person that made a comment on the elevator, for someone that just was 15 minutes conversation. I took that into consideration, but also the experiences that meet someone that has reinvented a career in my personal life several times. But coming back to my story, the origin, let's call it, my parents were literally teenagers when they had my older brother and me. My mother was 19 years old. For a very humble beginning, comes from a very rural town. My father comes from a very, very humble family in Guadalajara. I grew up going to public education in a tiny room, sharing with my 2 brothers. When I look back, it's like another life, completely another life. But that is what remains me humble and who I am.
Yeah. So I remember you telling me when we met that you worked as a teenager in a bank as a cashier, that your mom had to approve for you to work because you were a child. Can you tell us not only about that, but those early years, what did you see in your house that kind of made you want to go to work in a bank? Like, I think you were like 15, no?
Yeah, I was super young. I was very young. I cannot describe where it came from. But I remember very clearly being like a little girl, 5 years old, and playing make-believe that I was giving microloans to people. I clearly remember saying, this is not the life I want. I want us to get out of this life. So when I was going to with my father to pay bills to the bank, that was the only thing that I have as, let's call, guidance. I saw a bank. It was very pretty. The ladies were very dressed up, and everything looked pristine and clean. And it was this sense of stability and wealth. And that's the only thing. I didn't have any role models. I didn't have anyone to talk about it. Again, my mother finished high school in her 40s. My mother really talked to me and says, listen, you may not go to high school or you may not go to college. There is this specific programs for secundarias técnicas, which is middle school with training, and you can go and select a trade. Computer was already full. I couldn't select it, so I went to accounting. And I started at 12 years old learning how to be a bookkeeper. And I wanted to help my family. I saw my mother always working hard, being tired, having 3 kids. So I really wanted to help. In my mind, very young, I saw myself in a convertible with long hair and the wind and super successful. I don't know where it came from.
I
Perhaps
totally
the
see you
movies.
there.
What really happened is I figured out how to find a program that gave me the education to become a tailor. It was a 6-month program. My parents didn't even know I was doing that. So I had to go to school and then go to the program, and in the summer just go all day to the program. I didn't have enough money to take the bus. I need to take 2 3 buses in 1 hour to 2 hours to get there and then to return. So sometimes I walk. I didn't have money for the food. So when I was there, the only thing that I had to eat, it was just coffee. But I was completely determined to really get there because I knew no one else is going to help me. That program, if you were one of the best or top of the best, they will hire you. So I was very excited. I did all that because I wanted to get hired by that financial institution. What happened at the end is they didn't hire anyone. But they told me the head of HR wants to meet you. So go to the headquarters. So I went there, met with the head of HR, and this was a very pivotal moment in my life when she said, you were the top. Out of 100 people, you were the number 1, but we will not going to hire you. We're going to hire this person who is at the bottom because he's the son of a vice president. I mean, can you imagine? It's like someone is telling you, you don't have the last name, you don't have the parents, doesn't matter how hard you work. It was heartbroken. And of course, I didn't have no one to talk to. But this is a very important point that it says, we're not going to hire you, but the only reason I'm letting you know, so it's for you to know, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how high is your IQ. What matters is how creative you are. So here's a letter of recommendation. Good luck.
Yeah, and
So they gave you a letter of recommendation for somewhere else.
Yeah, for me
Amazing.
to figure it out.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
this is a letter of recommendation, figure it out. So I went back home, was devastated. At that time, I had to build, I didn't know what a resume was, but I created my first resume and I did my best. And I put that experience and I had my letter of recommendation. Next day, went to the office of Citigroup. Again, several buses, several hours, sat down outside of the HR for hours until someone sees me. And they asked me, what are you doing here? And I said, I just want to talk to somebody. What do you want? I want an opportunity. And people keep going back and forth. Once in a while, someone was coming and checking and see, you should leave, you should leave. At the end of the day, the lights were going down and everyone was out. Someone came out of a corner office and said, I saw you all day. What do you want? Very, very pointed. I said, I just want an opportunity. Can you give me 5 minutes? So come to my office. Went back, sat down in her corner office, and she says, again, what do you want? And I said, here's my resume. Here's my letter of recommendation. I want to work at Citigroup. Give me the opportunity to put my foot on the door. I don't care if I'm going to clean the toilets or swap the floor. Just give me the opportunity. She said, fine, leave it here. Then 2 hours later, 3 hours later, my dad arrived home. He says, he was upset. And he says, I don't know what you were doing all day, but someone called from a Citigroup company. Like, okay. They said if you get permission to work, you're starting in 2 weeks. So that's how it started.
Oh my God.
So they gave me the opportunity as a tailor. And yeah, that's how it started.
And then I guess if we had to have a subtitle to your episode, it would probably be What Doesn't Kill You Make You Stronger. Because after that experience of not getting hired, even though you were the one at the top, you've had many barriers along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like something like you're prepared for, that's not what happens. It happens exactly what you're not prepared for. And what was the rest of your career like that prepared you to be the most senior Latina in the blockchain industry?
I will say that the early on in my career, a lot of is just having that vision. I think that having that vision, it gives you the strength, because a lot of that early years are very formative.
Yeah.
But it also, in Mexico, when you are 15, you celebrate your quinceañera.
Yeah.
My parents didn't have money for that, but what they did is something that I will always gonna be incredibly thankful for. They said, I've never been outside of Mexico, never traveled, so they gave me an opportunity to go and visit my dad's sisters in San Francisco for the first time ever. Go outside of Mexico, which and go to the United States, which I was excited. But that is when it ties. Like my dream and my vision about getting to Citigroup was very related to that trip. So I came with my younger brother, came to San Francisco, and for the first time I saw myself like taking a ferry. I was like, oh my God. And I saw laptops for the first time, like, oh my God, what are those magical boxes? And I saw people with like long coats, and I'm like, wow, that's so fashionable. Like everything that I saw, I was absorbing it, I was taking it, because that was an opportunity. And again, people perhaps are not a mentor that gave me an advice, but in my way, those people and what I saw, it was so formative, because I saw myself that that's what I wanted to do. And then when we arrived in the ferry building in San Francisco and we walked through Market Street, in the corner is the Citigroup building. And it's so pristine and beautiful with the columns. And I told my younger brother, I will work in this building in the top, and I'm going to have a corner office. And my brother, oh, yeah, you will do it. I did.
So let's talk about your resilience in the face of something that we actually don't talk a lot about in this podcast, but I know it's talked about on social media a lot, which is part of the barriers you faced were other Latinos and Latinas not only not helping you, but actually being like not letting
Becoming a barrier
for you.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about a little bit of your experience, but also how did you handle that?
Yes. So being in Mexico
at
Citigroup, it was very evident that people that were at the top positions were people that had the last name, the connections, that they had the opportunity to go to a private school and they have those connections. Your networking community, which I value, is important. But sometimes those are social. It was very difficult to break through. It was very sad. You, again, have to be very creative and always work harder. And that's true in the United States or Mexico. You always have to work harder. Go the extra mile, work 3 times harder than anyone else. I did that. I climbed the ladder within the organization. When Citigroup purchased Banamex, that's when I decided to leave. I felt this sense of leaving because I felt the culture that I was looking for and being meritocratic, given opportunities, was being eliminated, which kind of happened because of that acquisition.
Yeah.
Then I had to be very creative in how I come to the United States. So I came to the United States with the help of at the time, some of my customers in Citigroup, that they were very happy with the work that I did. They gave me an opportunity to work with them and start doing more international work. So I was able to get, before where I was able to get another job, they sponsored me to be able, we were doing commercial real estate in many different parts of the world. And they sponsored me to come to the United States because they knew that it was my passion. I wanted to come here. So
you raised your hand, you told them like, I want to.
Oh, my God, nothing ever has come to me. I always raise my hand. Like this same little girl going and knocking at the door and being outside of Citigroup.
That's your life.
That's my life. Until this job too. Every single job, I always knock at doors. I always ask for it. No one came and gave it to me.
So you came to the U.S.
Came to the U.S. I enrolled myself at a university called Golden Gate University in San Francisco.
Right.
And then I married with a wonderful man. That was my first marriage. Unfortunately, the marriage didn't work. So a few years later, we got divorced. Thankfully, we're still friends. Married that person. I was learning to be married. I was learning to be an immigrant. I had a lot of cultural shock. I have a lot of things that I was learning. I was learning English because I didn't have English when I was growing up. And I was feeling constantly like I was below everyone else and that everyone was superior because of my accent or because of my looks or because everything. But it was my husband at the time who was always, Nico, who was always saying, no, you are great. So that is what helped me to lift that when I was down.
That's pretty much the imposter syndrome. That
Yeah.
So going back to the question of what were the role of Latinos? I mean, like there were Latinos around you where they felt like.
So now I'm getting to the point where I started first on an internship in BlackRock. But the reason that I started an internship in BlackRock is because when I was going to Golden Gate University, the dean of the finance and economic department, I was seeking his advice. So I was constantly trying to ask questions and connect with him. And what he told me is the first thing I ever learned, you need to build a network. Didn't know what networking was. I didn't know anything like that. I didn't know how to do it. And I'm in my mid-20s at that time. And he says, you need to apply for a scholarship, which it means you have to do another master's degree. And I was like, I don't want to continue being in school, but fine. I trust your advice. I will take another master's degree. So continuing education.
To build a network.
To build a network.
Right.
So sometimes you have to do things that may be counterintuitive, but you have to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
I have to take another. So I was finishing a master in science in corporate finance. And then it's like, what other master? Well, let's do an MBA. So let's just expand it to do an MBA in finance so I can just be able to apply for that scholarship. And the only value of the scholarship is the network it brings. So I applied for the scholarship of the Financial Women Association in San Francisco, and I got the scholarship. And that was the first time ever I have a dedicated mentor. A person, a wonderful female from Citigroup, that it was her to be my mentor, and still friends today. Through that network, I was able to get an internship at BlackRock. I loved the experience, but it wasn't for me. There was also a Latino team there when I met wonderful people, but I saw a lot also of the barriers there in the culture. I was now an immigrant. Not only the fact that I didn't have the last name, not only the fact that I didn't go to a private school, all those things that were barriers in Mexico continue here, but now there were other ones. I didn't go to Ivy League. I was married. There were other things. I couldn't socialize the same way. I wasn't part of the group.
You didn't belong.
I didn't belong. And it was clear. So I decided to leave at the end of the internship, but I was obsessed with returning to Citigroup. And that's when I'm going to answer your question. I was obsessed because that was my home.
You
That
said,
was
I
the
want
dream.
that office.
That was my dream, but that office wasn't there yet until the second time. Yeah, that was my dream. That was on my vision board. I wanted to go back to Citigroup. So I applied to Citigroup, and through the network, through that association, I was able to get connected and met a wonderful person who actually ended up hiring me. He is a first-generation Mexican in the United States, Jose Arce. Sadly, he passed away. He gave me the opportunity. And I remember again, like that moment in Citigroup, someone sitting in front of you and saying the truth to you, to your face, saying, listen, no one in the United States will actually value all your career and experience that you have in Mexico. I mean, when you look about my experience in Mexico, being in consumer service, retail, private bank, everything that I did, managing P&L for different branches and so on at such a young age. It's a great responsibility and experience. And he said, no one is going to consider. So you need to learn to reinvent yourself several times. So this is going to be another one, but I believe on you and I'm going to give you an opportunity. So he hired me. It was that person. For me, Jose changed my life because he gave me the opportunity, not only gave me the opportunity to hire me, he put me through a boot camp of corporate America. Like really, he knew I was coming from Mexico with my experience in Mexico and my global experience with construction, not on banking. And he took a chance on me, but not only change, he himself had a vision of what he wanted me to go. That after 2 years of being under his leadership, he decided to retire. He was in Citigroup for over 30 years, and he fought for me to be his successor.
Wow.
He really fought for me. And when I look back, it's like, how many people do that? Not that many.
And so that's how you got to the corner office.
That's how I got to the corner office that I envisioned when I was 14.
And you're a mom. You had a baby, you got married again, you moved into buy now, pay later. How was all that? So after your corner office?
Being in Citigroup was a great experience. I will always be thankful for the experience. But being back and forth between New York and San Francisco and spending primarily time in San Francisco, I was intrigued about technology. And after my divorce, I started having a lot of friends in the startup world. And it was very profound when at Citigroup, and I was getting burned out. I was working like crazy, 15, 18 hours a day, traveling a lot. So the transition really happened with that moment in being there and this bag of like, what's technology? And of course, when I started thinking about continue progressing and being there, it came to a point that like, I'm very senior to continue growing. Someone has to leave. It's not going to happen like this senior. And yes, people can be 20, 30 years in a company, but I don't know if those are these times anymore. Yeah. And I wanted to keep learning. I was very good at what I was doing. I did it good and I was getting bored. So I remember being in a performance review, annual performance review, one of my direct reports who was in close to the age of retirement. I was just being very energetic and trying to help her. I need more from you. We need to do more automation. We need to do all these amazing things to really keep bringing value. And for me, the corporate experience, like she leaned back, like, okay, relax. Don't try to get more from me. I'm going to retire. And I'm touchable. I'm going to retire. You're not going to get more of what I'm already doing. And she then leaned forward and she says, isn't it very comfortable, everything that the company gives you? The corner office, the travel, this. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, you get the golden handcuffs. And that was a moment when I saw myself, but through the mirror of someone else's.
Okay. How do you get to blockchain?
I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So that's when I took some of the most risky decisions. Returned to Mexico to work for Quesky. Lasted about 11 months, 12 months, was not the right culture. And also the setting that I was going back and forth, 2 weeks in San Francisco, 2 weeks in Mexico. But sometimes you need to take those risks and charge on, lean in and continue moving forward. So I took because that was what it will get me the other set of education to be more well-rounded as a professional. I learned a lot in my Quesky experience and from the fundraising, for Series A, managing the board, partnering with the board differently and partnering with entrepreneurs in different ways. How do you take a company to a scale? Left Quesky to really focus on my family again. If we needed to be together and in the US. So returned, but at that time, I said, okay, it's time. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So we two co-founders. We started a company in blockchain. We started a company that was focused on identity, sovereign identity on the blockchain. And why blockchain? Blockchain goes back to when I was at Citigroup. I see amazing programs and great work, but really we were hardly touching the surface on how we alleviate poverty. There is a lot of grants, donations, a lot of amazing work from foundations, but there is a lot of overhead on the back. And really is how much goes to overhead, how much really goes to have lasting impact in the communities is very little. But there is very difficult to get that to the communities, to educate the communities. So I was really intrigued of we need technology. So that's the first time in 2014 when I read the Bitcoin white paper. So now you think about what is this person in community development reading a technical white paper? That's again, you need to open your horizons. You need to surround yourself by people that will give you the opportunity and the curiosity. It just starts with curiosity. You are curious, go and get a book. You're curious, go and enroll on a conference. Don't be afraid of conferences. Go and invest in yourself because curiosity and learning is what is going to take you to the next. And even when you are there, like I still today, I go to conference and do things that sometimes I wonder, what should I invest the time? I have so much work. But when I'm there, I realize that's the best way to learn.
I have a last question, and then maybe Cynthia has one. So if I had to summarize it, and if you go to the audience, what is the Betsabé Botaitis playbook of having made it to where you are today?
Always knock at doors. If you want an opportunity, don't expect people to give it to you. Knock at doors. And be very clear in what you want and what you can offer. We do need to be very clear what's that offer. Keep your eyes on opportunities. a lot of people, and I guess it's human nature, a lot of people see more of roadblocks and challenges. Yes, there are huge challenges. There are sometimes mountains that seem impossible to climb. But when you see opportunities, you can go around the mountain and reach that opportunity. Be ready for the unexpected. Nothing will come out as you plan to be, and be humble. I think that the times when I have struggled the most is when I forget to be humble. Humble will allow you to always be learning, to see opportunities, to knock doors. Humble will allow you to meet amazing people that perhaps you couldn't have met, or listen up openly. And I would say the last one is, in the tough moments, tough or good moments, learn to see yourself through the eyes of others.
Betsabe, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for opening up, for your pieces of wisdom, for sharing your story. I feel incredibly enriched and really, really value your being here today.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very excited to be here.
And I when we spoke about you coming, I know you were like, I need to be comfortable, like being able to share everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I feel like you did it, and it's going to be a great episode for all of us.
And honestly, with people like you, our audience and all the Latina community is going to be able to lead and succeed.
¡A Latina!